Hi, everyone. Welcome to Membership Voice. I'm Kero O'Shea, the coordinator of Voice and the host for this evening's webinar. A special welcome to our special guest, Hamish Jones, fourth time in to talk about different aspects of AI. But Hamish is a passionate Rotarian, skilled technologist and whatever. I'll more formally introduce him in a moment. But welcome, Hamish. How are you going?
I'm excellent, Caro. Thank you for having me again. It's something I'm always excited to talk about, so I'm glad to be here.
Excellent, mate. That is fantastic. It's important for me to acknowledge the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land here in Western Australia in which I'm hosting tonight's webinar. I acknowledge the strength of their continuing culture and offer my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Now, to formally introduce Hamish. Hamish has been a business owner for over 20 years now. He recently ticked up his 11th year in Rotary, so 11-year Rotarian, Public Image Chair for District 9790, past President of the Rotary Club of Strathmore. Hamish is passionate about clubs using tech, as you've probably gathered, and serious about helping them to improve their impact. He's spoken to Rotarians across Australia, heavily involved in the Fit for Purpose program. Tonight, in his fourth webinar for Membership Voice, Hamish is going to help us go through how ChatGPT can be used to help you elevate your club's impact big time while reducing the admin element that no one joined Rotary to do. But Hamish tells this story way better than I do. So over to you, please, Hamish.
Thank you, Caro. Before I start, I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land where I'm joining you from this evening. They are the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and also pay respects to any elders from where anyone's joining us from this evening, and especially to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders joining us on today's meeting. So tonight's topic is a sort of a follow-up from a presentation a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't actually able to join that presentation live, but I have watched the replay. So that was a conversation about the Rotary Club Excellence Awards and what that means and how that can help enhance Rotarians' experience, but also different Rotary clubs that embrace the Club Excellence Awards, and particularly the Rotary Action Plan. I wanted to talk a little bit about how they both tie together and how I feel that technology could be used to not replace humans, but make life a little bit easier sometimes in terms of some of the admin and brainstorming sides, and see if there's an opportunity for you as an individual Rotarian or your clubs to take advantage of some of these opportunities. I'll go through a few different things. I've got some slides. I've got some live examples of template prompts so I can show you how quickly some of this stuff can be done. There's no real need to take any notes this evening. As I have done on previous occasions, I am happy to share all of this information. You will be able to obviously watch the replay, but I'll share the slide deck and the documentation with Kero after the meeting as well. So when he sends out his next newsletter and updates everyone that the video is online, I'm happy for that to be shared, all the other stuff to be shared around as well. So, I'll just sort of do a bit of a quick recap first of why we're here tonight. Obviously, Rotary is a service organisation, but it also is one that thrives on innovation as well. Rotary International has developed their own action plan with 4 key points. I will touch on them in a moment. And this was designed back when it was first implemented in 2019 to guide future planning. It has actually come to end of life at the end of 2024, but it is still the guiding document for Rotary International. It is still the strategic plan that they are working from. And I wanted to also, obviously, as I mentioned, show how ChatGPT is a useful tool, not to replace people in your club, but to as an admin tool and a supporting tool to help different club members, different board members to do their role, and how that can enhance their experience and make things a bit easier and increase impact. This is one of my favourite quotes when it comes to Rotary, obviously from Paul Harris. The world is change. This is a changing world, and we must be prepared to change with it. The story of Rotary will have to be written again and again. Obviously, we are going through that in Australia, in our zone at the moment, with the regionalisation pilot. I don't know that many people are actually. Um, sure exactly where that story is going to end currently, but it is a story that is being rewritten, and there are a lot of passionate Rotarians working towards making sure the outcome of that story is a positive one and is a one of growth for Rotary in our district and across the globe. Uh, before I get to the Club Excellence Awards, I wanted to touch briefly on the Rotary Action Plan. I'm sure we all know what it is, or I hope we all know what it is, so I'm not going to go into too much depth, but obviously it's underpinned by these four key points. So, increasing our impact, expanding our reach, enhancing participant engagement, and increasing our ability to adapt. I think they're all four key pillars for success as an organization. It also mentions that clubs should be working on their own strategic plans. But I think if your club doesn't have their own plan, this is still a good place to start and a good place to, work towards enhancing your club, enhancing its position in the community, and making sure that that impact and that reach is occurring so that we can achieve the goals we all want to achieve. What I like about the Club Excellence Awards, like I said, like I've already said, they are underpinned by the action plan, but they've slightly tweaked the order of where some of the goals are set. So I don't look. I haven't asked anyone, but I like to think that that's an emphasis of where they think the priority at Rotary headquarters are in where some of these awards should be. And I think the fact that they have enhanced participation first is an important one. If we don't have our members having a great experience and being involved in service projects, involved in their clubs, excited to be part of their clubs, we're not going to be able to achieve any of the other goals. So I like that they've put that first. And I think that engaging our members, engaging our volunteers, and engaging with the community through increasing participation and enhancing the experience of that participation as an important one. I don't know if everyone's read this document, which outlines all the goals that clubs can choose from, and the aim is to achieve half of them by June 30 next year. But there's a number of different goals there to work through. It's not expected that all of them be completed, but I would encourage, if your club hasn't already decided to participate in those Club Excellence Awards, that you take charge and bring this up to the board and come up with some of the ideas of what your club might be able to do. It's not about getting a certificate. It's about making sure that your club is working towards improvement, working towards growth, and working towards making that positive impact in your local community. So I liked this slide from the previous presentation a couple of weeks ago about the Club Excellence Awards and why clubs should be striving for excellence. I think these all make perfect sense to me. A club that is excellent and striving for excellence will energize its members because you can see that positive momentum. You can see things going forward. An excellent club will have clearly set and clearly defined goals, whether that's just goals you've set through the Club Excellence Awards or whether you have your own strategic plan and your own strategic goals. However that works, I think it's important. An excellent club strengthens community reputation, and that could be through two things. If you're working towards achieving some of the goals in the Club Excellence Awards, you are going to be having a bigger impact in your community, and people will start to notice. But also, at the end of the Rotary year 2026, if you've achieved one of these awards and you get one of these awards, make sure you shout it from the rooftops and tell your local community that your club is an excellent club. It's an incredibly positive public image opportunity for you to be able to say that your club is excellent and your club is one that's worth being a part of. It encourages innovation, which leads to sustainability. It goes back to that quote from Paul Harris about having to evolve, having to maintain relevance in a changing world. And I think that aiming to achieve the Club Excellence Awards helps that. Using technology like ChatGPT can be part of that, how you're going forward. And look, it can be key to retaining members just by building that positive vibe, enhancing that club participation, just to make sure people have a reason to be there and don't look for other opportunities. Another thing that sort of really resonated with me from that previous presentation, and it's something I've discussed in other presentations, not necessarily Rotary ones, is our competitors as Rotary is not necessarily other service organisations like Lions. It could be something as simple as Netflix. If there's no reason for someone to leave their television and go and participate in a Rotary service project or come to a Rotary meeting, then there's no reason for them to get off the couch. So we need to make a reason for people to get off the couch, get away from being in front of the television and coming out to attending a meeting. And I think that striving for excellence can help achieve that. Uh, I just, before we go into some live examples, I just wanted to sort of again touch on where ChatGPT fits in, and I use ChatGPT interchangeably with other AI tools. I've been talking about this since the Fit for Purpose program, or just over 12 months ago now. But ChatGPT is my tool of choice. There are other tools out there, and people do have their personal preferences. So use this interchangeably if you're using something else, but it can help you draft different prompts. So, just using some of the examples from the action plan and or the Excellence Awards, it can help you come up with project ideas. It can help you draft invitations to events, thank you messages for donors. It can help you come up with persuasive messaging for donor appeals. It can help you write speeches. It can help you write a press release. Now, these are skills that you may already have as a club, but it can help enhance that. It can help write your drafts a bit quicker if you are time poor or you're looking to just get a second opinion, for want of a better description. A lot of clubs struggle with social media content. One of the goals from the Excellence Awards is to improve and enhance your online presence. So if you're struggling to come up with ideas for content, it can help you create a social media calendar. And I'll show you an example of how quickly that can be done as we get to some of those live demonstrations a little later on. And it can do things like help with strategic planning. If you want to write your own strategic plan as a club, it can help you update content on your club website. It can give you advice on reviewing bylaws and best practice. I wouldn't necessarily trust it to give you legal advice, so I'll be verifying all of that sort of stuff, but it can give you a quick overview first if you're looking for just some quick ideas of where you should be looking potentially, if that's not a skill set that you have in your club currently, just as a starting point. Like I said, it's not designed to replace human involvement in any of your club activities. It's designed to enhance human involvement in your club activities by giving people an extra tool, potentially saving time, but also giving you ideas that you may not have been able to come up with yourself or be able to come up with before. So let's go through the first action plan and pillar of the Excellence Awards, which is the idea of enhancing club participation. So this could come up in a number of different ways. You could be, looking to generate new project ideas. You could be looking for volunteers and putting out a call out. That could be to club members. That could you can draft thank you messages to club members after an event, to volunteers in the community. Just the idea of saying thank you is an important one. People don't necessarily join Rotary to be recognised or volunteer for a Rotary project to be recognised. They do it to give back, but recognition is important for a lot of people. Well, it's important for everybody, really, just to be thanked sometimes. So it's if you can save a bit of time getting help to draft these messages, if that's the difference between doing it and not, it can be a project. It can be a tool. ChatGPT can be used as that tool to help you draft that more quickly, just so it actually gets done. It can help you brainstorm leadership development ideas. It has access to all the world's information. You basically have a PhD in your pocket in every known possible subject. So if you're looking for leadership development ideas for club members to help them enhance their experience and improve leadership opportunities, it can come up with ideas there for you. And you can leverage a brand resource, brand center ideas, learning center ideas. It can search through all that information to help you find information, sometimes more easily than going and using the search function on the Rotary Org website itself, just to give you an idea of how you can enhance that participation. I wanted to do a quick live demo on one of the particular goals there. So one of the goals is for increasing participation is how many members will participate in club service activities during a Rotary year. So I've devised the sample prompt. This is not based on any club in particular. All the names are just used by example. So I'm not picking on anybody. It's just an example to show you how quickly you can come up with some of these ideas. And as I said, these prompts will be shared so you can come up with, you don't necessarily need to write anything down, but you can play around with them, change them, tweak them to how it might suit your club later on. But the first one, so increasing member participation, I will explain how I structure a prompt in some of the resources I send through later, because otherwise we'd be spend the entire presentation now working through why it's written like this. But basically, I've given ChatGPT a role, so I want it to be a strategic advisor in club engagement and volunteer coordination. This helps structure the response you get from ChatGPT, so it just sort of gives it a role on, so it gives it a better understanding of the type of output I might be looking for. So we're talking about a club that has 38 members. Based in Wagga Wagga. Like I said, this is just an example. I don't even know the Rotary Club of Wagga Wagga. It's just an idea I put up just to pick some names. And we're saying that last year, only half the club members participated in activity. So, we want to increase overall participation in hand-on ideas. Practical and inclusive, because different people might have different levels of skills. And then we've given it some of the end goals there of what we want. So 3 to 4 strategies, specific examples of project engagement ideas, and a system for tracking that, because obviously you need to report these goals back as well. So you want to make sure you're able to track everything that's happening there. Now, I'm not saying you use this as a replacement for discussions within your club, but it can help prompt some of the ideas and expand on the ideas that the board might be having to increase that engagement there. So I'll just copy and paste that into ChatGPT, and let's see how quickly that can come up with a response. So you can see it's come up with a goal there to increase it from 50% participation to 75% participation. You may decide you want it more than that and tweak it accordingly. And it gives you ideas there. So, if your club hasn't done a survey of skills and availability, it's made a suggestion that maybe that's a good idea for reaching out to people and seeing what ideas they can come up with. Potentially segmenting club members based on those responses, because different people want to do different projects. That's the beauty of Rotary, is there is something for everybody potentially to be involved in Rotary activities. So it's given you some ideas there. And then some examples of where you might particularly reach out to members. So if someone's a doer, they may be more interested in something like a cleanup day at a local creek or river. If someone's a connector, they might be better to be interviewed and used as one of the more public-facing members of the club, or to go out and try and recruit new volunteers, recruit sponsors, recruit donors. That can still be considered a service project, depending on how you view things. You might run a youth leadership workshop. So, and it's talks about ideas of breaking this down. So giving people more responsibility by breaking it down into smaller teams and committees if your club doesn't have that. If someone says they don't have time, give them a challenge of donating an hour's worth of time somewhere, because then suddenly they've gone from not participating in a service project to participating in a project, and just tracking all these sorts of things there. It's giving you a 6-month implementation plan, which if you started doing this now is probably good timing for that, because that when you take out the December, January holiday period, we probably really do only have just over 6 months left for the year. So as you can see there, it's not perfect, and it might not necessarily suit your club, but in less than a minute, you've got a very good opportunity and example there of some ideas that you may have already thought of all of them, and it may then reinforce what your club's already doing, but it may also have given you some ideas and talking points there to bring back to the board, put in place an idea, and come from there. And it can even do things like create a PowerPoint slide deck. So like I said, if your club is not necessarily embracing some of these ideas, it can help you create a PowerPoint slide for you then to go back to your club after you've had a play around, saying, we should do this, here's why, here's how we can do some of these sorts of things. So that's the first example. So like I said, that the big thing there is giving you some ideas to strengthen engagement on top of what you may already be discussing as well. But also, it's not taken any extra time really of what you might already be doing in your meeting. So that can expand the number of ideas your club has very quickly. And that was just 5 ideas. You may say you want 25 ideas and then go through them and list them in priority order there. That was just an example of how we can use here that can get some results to start a conversation in a very quick time. And when I say to start a conversation, that can be a conversation with your club. It can even be a conversation with chat GPT as well. So if you're not happy with that first response, you can say it's as simple as, I like this point, I don't like this point, can you expand on that, can you give me another 20 ideas, all those sorts of things, and you'll get more detail, more responses in as quick a time as you've got there. Next one, increasing impact. So like I said, it can help you write donation letters. That can be letters to businesses in your community. It can be letters to it can help be grant applications to local foundations, all sorts of things. Brainstorm service project ideas. So one of them is to one of the goals that we'll get to is, and I'll use that as the live example for this section, is it, you've got in the first part, it's how many people are going to participate in projects, but then it's the next goal is how many club projects is your club going to participate in. And you may already have a lot of projects and you're happy where you are, but you may decide that you want to increase the number of projects that your club does, but you don't necessarily have the right ideas yet for your local community. So you just want a little bit of help coming up with ideas or fresh ideas, just to prompt the discussion again. And like I said, this is just the starting point, an example to help guide the conversation and move things forward. So let's open up a new chat and come up with some project ideas. So, again, I'm just using club names as an example. It's not an idea. This is not picking on any club or coming up with any club that that's just names to protect clubs that may not have that. I could have used some real world examples, but it's not necessarily the right place to do it. So this is basically a prompt just to come up with 5 new project ideas based on a generic Rotary Club of Ballarat and what their membership might currently look like. So the types of things they might be interested in. And again, you'll see a very quick response there of some ideas that you can do quite cheaply. So there's an example that you may not have thought of. So, tools for trades repair day. So if you've got a lot of, Ballarat's got a large apprentice community and, tools are expensive. So, getting some some old tools to refurb and get them to use, it gives them, but also, encourage that to be used in different areas like women's shelters or refugee resettlement programs as examples there. Places where money might be short, they may not have access to tools and stuff they need. And it gives you a basic budget there and the idea of how you could do it. A business mentors clinic, another idea based on, you've given examples of what your club demographics might look like. So we mentioned in this example that they're business professionals. So I thought, well, a business mentors for those starting up might be a good idea. A general kindness to go pack, so packs that you can give out to different people, local homeless or other displaced individuals. Um, an environmental challenge, so Greening Ballarat, it's called it, and a wellness week to encourage people to talk about different areas of wellness. Again, there's some small ideas just to promote discussion, to promote different brainstorming in your club. It's not necessarily about just achieving the excellence awards. It's about thinking about what excellence might look in your club. So using the excellence award goals as a starting point to say, okay, so how many service projects are we going to do, which leads to discussion. Are we doing enough service projects to be an excellent club? To what else might we do? To let's ask ChatGPT to give us some more ideas that we may not even have thought about. And you can see, I always like to go back to, it's very quick. It doesn't take long to do it, but it can help prompt the discussion for then the board, club members to get involved and think of new ideas. And it's not the end draft. You don't have to follow this, but it can say, okay, well, I like this idea, but let's tweak it this way. Then you have that discussion as a club, or you can always come back to this prompt and say, okay, so what else do we need to do here to enhance this, and how can if you pick one of these projects, you can then come up with a project plan to implement that, give you the checklists and the ideas of the things you might want to use going forward to get to that next step. And then sort of the expanding reach and adaptability, that is, where the technology stuff really sort of comes in, and that online presence. So um, you know social media calendars, different types of content for different audiences, and just more generally strategic planning and your online presence. And for this one, I wanted to just, as I mentioned earlier, talk about how quickly you can come up with a social media content calendar if your club is a club that struggles with content ideas. This can give you a starting point of the sorts of things you can think about, just so you're not starting with a blank page. You've got at least a draft canvas that you can work with to come up with ideas of posts and where to post it there. So um, again, just wanted to show you how quickly it comes up with ideas, including your target audience. So in this one, we're looking at posting twice a week, and on different platforms, so Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Um, and it gives you also, like, the ideas. It's got theme, what you talk about, which platform to put it on, and then suggestions on how to format it as well. So image, text, suggesting that you use a short video on Friday there, local ideas there. Um, Again, it's going through week 3 and week 4. I actually like that it hasn't necessarily formatted that next table perfectly, because it shows that ChatGPT is not perfect. And I would then go through, potentially, and ask it to reformat that table again. But you can see that it has put the week two's worth of posts in there, so you've got different ideas there. But I think it's just important to show you how quickly it can come up with some ideas there of things that you may not have thought about, things that you can then tweak for your club and say, okay, yep, that's a great idea. Let's get on video. Let's talk to local. Give a shout out to a local business owner that's supported Rotary, or joined Rotary. Talk about why people are involved. Introduce the club and the members to the community, because that can be an idea to get more people involved. And it's given you a month's worth of tips there. It's giving you some extra suggestions, like you might want to use hashtags on your posts just to make it easier for people to find you. If you're running an event, if you have a dinner at the same venue each week, or however often you have dinner, to tag them in your posts. If a business has sponsored an event, make sure you tag them in your posts. All sorts of ideas there, just to remind you to do things that you might have missed there, to make sure you are getting the biggest impact out of the work that you are doing. Uh, So again, it's just a quick tool to help make sure you are, if you might have the creative person in your club, you need to use it for that. But if you are a club like many that do struggle with ideas, it gives you that tool to help you stay visible, stay relevant, and adapt as things change. Like, there's your first month. You then can, if you want to go more in depth, you can get access to the results of the how posts have performed. It has great analytical data there. You can upload that data at the end of the month to ChatGPT and say, have a look through all the posts we've posted over the last month. Tell us which ones performed well, which ones didn't perform well, and use that as the starting point for coming up with the next month's social media post ideas, so that you can do more of what's working and potentially do less of what isn't, or at least tweak it so it will work better in future months there. So yeah, again, we're looking at just this, using technology as an enhancement to what excellent clubs are doing, not as a replacement. It's not going to fix poor performance in a club. It's not a silver bullet. It is a great tool that can help clubs that are already doing well. And um, so I've call to action to you. If your club is not participating in the Club Excellence Awards, or hasn't mentioned it at a board meeting or a club assembly or any meeting in particular, um, talk to the board about it, because and not just to rubber stamp getting yourself a certificate at the end of the year, to talk about club excellence and what club excellence means for your club, and to improve its standing amongst its own members, to make sure members are feeling good about the situation, but also to improve the standing in the community. Um, if you're new to ChatGPT, new to AI, or even you've tried it but you're not necessarily getting the experience, try some of the template prompts when they get shared around, just to see how those results are. Try changing them to see if you think you can improve them, or to see the different results you're getting. I don't pretend to be I don't pretend that that's the only option for prompting, the ones that I use. I find that it works generally for me, but there are hundreds of different ways you could format a prompt out there. I'm happy to come and talk to anyone individually, organize a time to talk about different prompt structure. Anything I could talk about this for hours. I'm just mindful that we end on the hour for Kero, so I've tried to keep it short so I can answer questions as well. Um, like I said, share the prompts with the club, but also, share some of the results you're getting, share some of the ideas. So that could be the discussion point, saying, hey, I went to this presentation, I played around with ChatGPT, came up with some of these ideas for the Club Excellence Awards, and see if that gets you gets some results that you're looking for your own experience in Rotary. But also, we are all Rotary leaders, even if we don't have a leadership position in our club or district. So, take on board the idea that Rotary needs to adapt and needs to look towards different things. Use this technology to help you achieve what you want to do as well. And with that, I'll leave it there. Stop sharing my screen, and I'm happy to have some ongoing discussion and answer questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hamish. Another brilliant presentation as always. A question: what often happens, just perhaps a little preamble, what often happens in Rotary is that club leaders will come to something like this, will listen to you, will head off all fired up, but ultimately nothing happened.
Yeah.
And that's because of the first step, the need to take a first step, sometimes against a bit of apathy or opposition. What would you see as some typical examples of good sort of first baby steps to get this sort of stuff moving?
Well, I mean, there's two ways that you could sort of approach this. It's one is, like it could be a baby step with the technology. If you're struggling with the technology in Rotary, play around with the tools yourself and see the results you can come out with. And again, like I said, prompts are not necessarily always perfect the first time. It's about playing around with what that first prompt is to see how you can start that conversation, but also need to remember that tools like ChatGPT are also conversational tools. So if you don't like what you get at first, keep playing with it and keep saying, I don't like this, I want to change it there. And, do it for things in your personal life, which could be something like, if you've got a holiday coming up, ask it to do a travel plan. Like, as a family, we're going to Japan next year, and I've been asking ChatGPT to come up with ideas that like itineraries and ideas that will be enjoyable to me, but also we have a 9-year-old, so there's obviously got to be a lot of things to keep him entertained as well, and it can come up with some incredible details, including ideas of stuff that I haven't thought of before. So play around with it there. Come up with recipe ideas of things like, hey, I've got this in the fridge. Help me come up with a 6-day meal plan or something like that. Or how can I put all of these into a single recipe, and see the type of stuff that comes up with there. Just play around with the tool, and play around with the tool in ways that you may not even imagine. Just start asking it random questions just to see what the result is. So that's, I would say, how you sort of get over the fear of the tool with simple things like that. But if it's a matter of being energized from a Rotary perspective, that comes back to accountability, and accountability can be someone checking in with you. If you've got an idea, and I'm happy to be that person for you, when Kero sends out the presentation, I'm happy to share my contact details with anyone. So if you say, okay, I want to do this with my club, here's what I'm going to do. Set that goal. Say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it by then. I will make a note in my diary to come back to you and say, have you done it? What worked? What didn't? And then that way, people don't like. When people put goals or ideas out publicly, they don't like disappointing anyone, even if it's something as small as that. So if that's what you need to do to take that next step and actually keep pushing past that first roadblock, I'm happy to be that person for you as well. If you don't know what that goal should be, I'm happy to jump on a separate Zoom call and spend 15 minutes saying, okay, let's come up with a plan for you. Let's come up with a plan for your club. And then we will set those timelines together and sort that out. So I think that's a good way to get past that as well.
Okay. Do you think fear of failure might be one of the things that could be holding some people back?
I think, look, it happens to any adult. Like, once you get past that stage of curiosity that you have as a child, especially with technology, you start to think you can break things. And the beauty of a tool like ChatGPT is, yes, it has a tool that it has a memory tool, and if you have the paid version, and to a certain extent in the free version, that it starts to remember previous prompts that you have done, and that can cause problems if it's starting to remember things that you don't necessarily want it to remember. But the beauty is that you can actually go into the settings and delete that memory, so you can't really break anything because you could just delete it all and start again. So I think yes, it is a thing, but like you can't really break Chat GPT. So that's why I sort of say play around with it in ways that you do and work it until you find that way that works. So I think that it can be a tool that anybody can use, and it just you've got to keep using it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Hamish. Look, I've noted some of the commentary in the chat. There's no questions per se, but there's a couple of things I'd like to follow up with some people.
Mm.
Tim Wills, you've said you haven't engaged with it, but so let's say looking at at the great stuff that Hamish has shared with us tonight, what are you seeing as your first baby steps with this?
Thank you, Kero. No, I have not engaged in it because I've thought, no, don't want to. I've had I'm an RCL, and so I'm talking to other clubs. I've been a secretary 8 times in the last 13 years in my club. I've been the PR and the social media and you name it, I've been it. And I've stepped aside from all of that this year because I don't think it's been healthy for the club that I've been doing all that. Looks like I'm going to step back in because there's an area, particularly social media, that hasn't been picked up. What I'm going to do, what I particularly liked was that question about the posts on social media. And even though we have people who are keen to have a shot at that, I really liked just that little bit from that one simple little prompt, what came up. And I would like to, and I will, play around with the possibilities, even in anticipation of meeting with the new secretary who is meeting with me because she said she now knows what she doesn't know, and she'd like to talk about it. So this is something that, I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm really looking forward to having a shot.
Well, I haven't actually run it past Hamish yet, but I know he's going to say yes because he always does. I'm thinking of actually dedicating our next webinar as a more participant-driven workshop and get people to come in with, say, a specific issue that they want to talk to Hamish about and structure a workshop around that. So watch this space. Sure.
How many
Thank
hours?
you.
Actually, Kero, if I could...
Yep, please.
Could I add that it might be in lines of what could possibly even be useful, based on what Hamish said, maybe before that, everybody that turns up is expected to have had a little bit of a play around and has this didn't work, that didn't work, rather than another turn up and say, oh, well, that sounds very interesting. Let's have a look at that.
Okay, I'm going to say Tim Wills said, I wasn't going to do this, but Tim Wills said...
Yeah, by all means, blame. I'm almost happy to have you say that.
No worries.
No, that's fair enough, and I agree.
As a fellow RCL, I appreciate what you're doing, mate. I want to go to someone who hasn't put anything in the chat yet, but I'd be interested in Ros Tina's perspective as one of our PR guns, as being an assistant Rotary coordinator in that area. How are you seeing this?
You can probably tell I'm back for more, Kero.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it. Well, I really love learning. I love Rotary thriving. Mm-hmm. And I'm not addicted yet, but I'm very close. And as Hamish knows, I've come from a very low base in experience of AI, but I have been using it over the past year. My current role, as Roxanne knows, is that I am doing the marketing. Well, the marketing's almost over, but I'm doing a lot of the communications preparation for the Zone conference on the Gold Coast. And my recent responsibility has been summarising all the bios that have come in from all the speakers. And to get them consistent, I've got AI to help a lot to make them 100 words, or in the case of John Hugo, perhaps 150 words, or, somebody was unsatisfied with theirs and they wanted it to be X. So, okay, I mentioned all the things they wanted it in, and then I had to change everything else for the sake of consistency. And then that became a document that I shared back to the chair, which she then shared with the MCs. And I am just so grateful because somebody sent me a very academic style. And I knew that if we had that as, one of the presentations when we're just trying to get everybody on board to change, it just wouldn't work. So I told AI, please, being respectful of this person with this wonderful background, can you please express this so that the listening audience will be engaged, and it was just marvellous, So I am very much a fan, Kero, even though I am still in the on the lower slopes of the learning. But I am very excited. I like to think that I have writing skill, but when I'm using this now as such a good backup that I'm just so grateful, because it's as Hamish has always told people over the couple of years that I've been watching his advice. It's a productivity thing. It's a discussion starter. A few years ago, I was on a board, and it was a Rotary project, a large Rotary project, and they were stuck. And they were stuck for money, and so got on. And and they'd been talking about this for a long, long time. But as you say, you've got to actually take a risk to do something. So I reached out to Hamish, and Hamish flicked back a base document to me. Would it have been 5 minutes, Hamish?
Definitely within half an hour, but it only took me 5 minutes by the time I'd read the email. Absolutely.
The chairperson of that significant group within Rotary cried. She just was so gobsmacked. She was just saying, you are so. I said, no, it's not me. it's the Rotary team, So, and if you think that people will not believe that the machine language, can be so wonderful, then just attribute it to another team member in Rotary. Just talk about it as a colleague and don't let them get afraid.
Yeah. Thank you, Roz. That's absolutely brilliant. I do want to encourage a couple of other people to participate, but that was solid gold. Thank you. Kieran, here's a bit of a loaded question for you. What new things have you picked up from Hamish tonight in terms of what is already obviously a pretty healthy suite of AI applications? So just like to see what your perspective might be on that.
I'm probably not the best person to ask, and I only say that because I do this for a job, AI implementation and automation. That being said, fabulous presentation, Hamish. Thank you very much. And just if we can all bring this into our clubs, because really, like Hamish said, it's not taking over people's roles. It's assisting you to do the grunt work. And if you feed it in the correct possible way, with the correct prompts, and you nourish it over time, it is going to take a solid 60% of the work out of your workload. So not really the answer to your question, Kara. Apologies. That's my 2 cents.
That was an even better answer. So thank you for that, Kieran. Going over to Anne Walker. Anne, I'll pose the same question to you. What sort of insights are you going to apply from tonight? Over to you, please, Anne.
Let me just say one of the things that you mentioned was people's reluctance, right, to take on the technology. And I think one of the ways that I've been working on that, because I've heard reluctance, AI is taking jobs and all of this kind of thing. So every time I do something with it, I share that with the club. So I socialize to people all of the different things we've been doing. So to me, it's about persistence and socialization to talk about the value.
Mm.
A couple of things that we've done. We used to have a scribe. It was very hard getting someone to do scribing for the meeting.
Mm.
We do record the meetings. I'm like, so now I'm from Turramurra Rotary. I'm the president of Turramurra Rotary Club. We scribe no longer. We Zoom, download the transcript, I chat GPT it, and then I just use a few prompts, which I have regularly saved. And that's really useful. So I ask for a one-page summary of the announcements, and then that goes into the newsletter, and it is super quick. One of the other things that we've done with ChatGPT was I found a rap song that I liked the beat of, because I thought when our outgoing president was leaving us, it was going to be hard to get singers, but people could rap. And I actually had ChatGPT help me write the song. So from that, we ended up with a rap song for our outgoing president, which really touched her. So it's just so powerful. Some people, they've struggled to write board proposals. Just pop it in ChatGPT with a few points, and it's assisted there as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
Great perspective. Hamish, we've talked about the internal side of this, but I want to come back to something that was a bit of an aha moment at the Club Excellence webinar a couple of weeks ago, where we had a bunch of people in who had experience with it. So one of the participants had at least seven consecutive Club Excellence Awards. The aha moment for him was the engagement of the community, how to use the win and how to use the process to build the club's profile in the community. Did you want to speak to that?
The Club Excellence Awards, I can't even remember what they were called previously. I'm having a mind blank now, but
President's Citation.
President's Citation, yeah. That's right, yes. I'm sure there are clubs out there that use it as a tick box exercise. Like you say, people won it years in a row and never really done anything with it other than, made the effort to log into Rotary, my Rotary, put the goals in there and then tick them off at the end of the year. I think that's missing the point. Like I sort of tried, I hope came across in the presentation. I think it's a foundational starting point on making your club an excellent club. Having said that, I'm also the public image chair for District 9790, so and have been for a couple of years now. I strongly encourage clubs that do get the award to use that award as a promotional avenue to be able to say, hey, we've achieved this. We are an excellent club. We are doing excellent things in the community. And that can be, a badge on your social media profile. It can be all sorts of different ways to do it. And again, it's only limited by the amount of ideas you can come up with. Why not put into ChatGPT saying, hey, I've won a Club Excellence Award as a club. Here's the details of what this actually means. How can we now use this as a promotional tool to leverage on the achievements that we've already achieved now to, increase our results going forward, to get new members, to get new volunteers and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, we do have a number of community leaders in the audience. I'm one too. How could you see a Rotary community leader, given that their role, their support role for clubs in terms of facilitating outcome, how could you see a Rotary community leader utilising AI to help in that sort of important facilitation role?
A number of different things, and it depends on the community leader and how active they are in their role. Like if they're having meetings with some of their club presidents and being proactive there, it can be as simple as recording those meetings and using ChatGPT or whatever tool you choose to use to summarize that meeting and come up with some action points from there as a time-saving thing. Instead of relying on notes, instead of relying on your own scribe and handwriting that you can't read after the fact. So that's a good starting point there, just to save some administration time. But also, and you don't necessarily plug up all the club's information, but you can get enough information to use from there. Say, I've got this club that is having these struggles. Here's why. If you're just sort of banging your head against the wall and you're stuck with how to support them, ask for ideas on how to support particular clubs, especially if some of your clubs are struggling. But also, more importantly, sometimes ask how you can support the clubs that are thriving, because it can often be a situation where it's those clubs that are thriving, and this is not just in Rotary, it's across the board. If people are doing well, you just tend to leave them to do their own devices, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you can give them that little bit of extra support, which you may not know what that looks like, but if you get some ideas, that can actually even move them to that next level exponentially to increase their impact further, because every club can increase, like even a club that's having a good impact can increase its impact. They might have a good impact locally, so then now it might be time to encourage them to look at a district-wide project or an international project, and just use it as that brainstorming tool to work out how to help all the clubs that you do have in your community group.
Interesting, an interesting application that I wouldn't mind running past you. We had a club that the president resigned at the end of their year, and so didn't actually produce a report. And the process that was used was to get everybody, all the key players from that year, anybody who wanted to take part, to sit around and just brainstorm all the things that they thought were important about the year, and then take all that with a little bit of putting it together and throw it into GPT and ask it to produce a quasi-president's report based on that stuff. And the two things that really worked about it were that it wasn't so much what ChatGPT produced, but the fact that everybody owned what went into it. So it really sort of provided a sort of a unifying element.
Oh, absolutely. And like Rosalind said, it's not, we'll sort of reinforce, it's a tool that can help there, and it can, there are academics out there, some that have admitted that they used AI tools to write different reports for academic journals, and they've actually used that as a citation. There are others that have been caught using it as a tool for doing it. As I mentioned, it is you are carrying around a PhD in everything in your pocket, and it can write incredibly good information, including a presidential report if you need it to. But in a situation like that, it can also, if clubs, if you lose your president and you don't have that report, it can give you that the questions to ask club members to extract that information as a starting point as well. If you are struggling to get them to extrapolate on the ideas that they've had throughout the year, and then collate all that information into something that looks like a presidential report. And if you're a president yourself and you're struggling with how to write a presidential report because it's not something you're used to, just say something as simple as, help, I'm the Rotary Club president, I need to write a report. How can I structure this? Please sort of lay out however many words you want it to be, and leave some gaps where I should put in particular information, and it'll have brackets like insert your information here, and then that can help you save time in writing that report as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, mate. I'd like to go over to Ros Kelly, because she's made a statement there that I think would actually make quite a good question.
It's interesting because I just said to Di how all of these questions are still very similar, even taking AI out of it, to what we were asked as DGs during our DG years. But because I come out of IT, it's also an area that I do a lot. But I know, particularly when you're bringing in new people into the area of doing your social media or trying to develop that area, they say, but I'm not like you. I don't know everything about, what Rotary does, which is a very falsehood of what DGs do actually know. We beg, borrow and steal, and we don't reinvent wheels. And that's exactly what AI does. It doesn't reinvent the wheel. It uses what's out there. And everybody's familiar with that statement. So you say to them, don't reinvent a wheel. Why don't you just, for the first off, go and do something around whatever our Rotary theme is of next month, but ask it to tailor it to our community by looking up, what happens in, for example, even though I'm on the coast, I'm with Beanley Club, I say that. And they then see how easy it can actually pull other people's ideas. It does go and search Rotary clubs around the world, and they can see how that can then come in. but it also searches their own community, which again, you can't be into every facet of your community. And it makes it so much easier to pull something together. And again, then you use something similar to what Hamish point. Okay, tell me a post I can do, every day for 2 weeks leading into next month and then into the theme of that actual month. Those are ways, if we start talking or helping people understand that AI really is a thing to help us not reinvent wheels. It's to help us what's out there to make it easy for us to, but it also, the biggest advantage of it is it goes and looks what's happening around what people want to do in their communities, etc., like that, and then align all of the brilliant things we know about Rotary and the ease of using our networks, our connections, our relationships to make those happen in our communities. So that's, and using phrases that they know of, don't reinvent the wheel. I don't know everything, I just know who to ask. Those sorts of statements, it just makes it a lot more likely to go and try.
Super. Thanks, Roz. Hamish, have you got a perspective on that?
I wholeheartedly agree. Like, we only had a short time, so it was a very generic prompt for a social media calendar, but you can think about that. It is also a great educational tool, and you can come up with lesson plans about Rotary. You might have a new member induction that talks about the different themes for each month and get it to create the content for you, and again, tailor it back to your local community. You can use a lot of the stuff on the Rotary Learning Centre and say, I've done this workshop. How can I make this more relevant in my local community? All these questions. It's not new information. It's just all the information that's available to you that you can then have put together back for you in a way that works for you and your club. I like to describe ChatGPT as the smartest person I know that can still make some stupid mistakes. So you've got to verify everything that's coming out of it every single time. But 99% of the time, it is accurate, and it is something that is going to be incredibly useful.
But it does still hallucinate sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Tim Wills has something he wants to put to you here because he had his hand up a moment ago. So over to you, please, Tim.
Thank you. Actually, lovely segue, Hamish. I couldn't have asked for better, mentioning ChatGPT, so smart. I've used twice Perplexity. Are you suggesting, is ChatGPT, in your opinion, possibly the best we could play with, or are there others that we might also try, just as comparisons?
ChatGPT would be the most popular for me, and I'm not going to go into the complexities of why I use it most of the time, but for me, it is my most common go-to tool. But I use things like Claude Code for different stuff that I'm doing, and all sorts of other tools as well. I'd just use a tool and get comfortable with it. For the average user, I'd say they're going to get similar results out of each of them for what they need it to do. ChatGPT is by far and away the most common, and is probably the most advanced for everyday users. But if you're comfortable using Perplexity and the platform that it's coming out of, I wouldn't necessarily say jump into a different tool if you're happy doing it there. If you're happy to jump ship and try something else, I would happily recommend you have a go at ChatGPT. But it's they're all coming out with new different models that slightly tweak different things. But at the end of the day, just stick to something and keep trying until you get results that you're happy with.
Super. Thanks, Tim, and thanks, Hamish, and thank you for those tips, Kieran. That's very, very kind of you. At this stage, it's time to express our appreciation for another fine performance by Hamish, his fourth webinar on the subject. So let's give Hamish a good old-fashioned round of applause. Well done, mate. Great work. Great work. Thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight.
Thank you, everyone.